Thank you for coming. We're so glad that you're here. A few things to start with. Just a quick introduction to our festivals team. I'm Debbie Weiser, and I'm the National Festivals Chair. Just a teeny bit about me. The first thing you need to know about me is I love my husband. So much so that I followed him in his career hither and yon and hither and yon. We've moved an awful lot, and it's helped me to see an awful lot of the country, well, Midwest and West. But I've also been able to experience a lot of different festivals. My festival roots began in South Dakota and were nurtured well there by some wonderful, wonderful people. Um, we we've been to Washington, Oklahoma, Illinois, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Washington, Arizona, Alaska, and Arizona. And each of those places, I've seen festivals that are thriving and with such history. They've been established for many years. And I've seen some festivals that were non existent that we began and we created. It's just been a wonderful experience. And I have learned so much and still continue to learn. I'm excited to hear all you have to share with us. Thank you for your questions. They have been so wonderful. They're helping to guide how we serve you better, and I appreciate all of that. All right. A couple of other things. Oh, this is Sandra Preyes.
Oh,
This is Sandra Preyes. She takes care of Avachi for us, and is that fantastic or what? She does so much work for us. Then I've got Jennifer Key. She is our bulletin editor, and she's fantastic as well. And Dawn Stegerda, she is taking care of our Federation Cups. You have to know that three of us this year, well, last year, were new in our positions. So that's a lot of newness, which is good, but it also has its own wonderful problems. We also had newness at the home office, and so that also created a little bit of buggity boo. I'm grateful to have Lori Jessen here with us, our junior division chair. She has been a wonderful mentor. And Deborah Freeman's here, our national president. She is fantastic. Again, another wonderful mentor. They have helped us so much along the way. All right. If you are interested, there's a lot of things we're going to share that will help you get back to those resources again, and they're all QR codes. So if you want to scan it and then you can save it and then look at it later, perfect. And if you don't need it, that's fine too. We all submitted annual reports, and they are all found on the national website. So if you're curious to see some of the growth and some of the things that we did, especially the festivals team, but any of the other divisions in Federation, you'll find it here. Now I'd like to take the time over to Lori. Lori Jessen's going to talk to us a little bit about membership and answering some of your questions there. Lori.
okay. Thank you, Debbie. That it's so great to see so many people here. I'm very excited to see that we have leadership interested in learning more, and we always need to learn more. I want to say that if you have any questions about membership, please feel free to type them in the chat. And if there's time at the end of my part, I'll answer them. Otherwise, we'll get back to them and make sure you get an answer somehow. I'm going to take the next 10 minutes and make all of you membership experts. So here we go. I'm going to give a little overview first of membership since I'm the National Junior Membership Chair. You can see on the slide the topics I'll be covering, and as the song says, let's start at the very beginning. Okay. Membership is the gateway to participate in anything sponsored by NFMC. All of NFMC's opportunities are for our members only, except the essay contest. Festivals chairs need to confirm with their local treasurer that all teachers are members and that all entrants are members. The first thing to latch onto is that all membership in NFMC is first defined by age. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to focus on the two age groups that are most applicable to festivals. Junior members are those ages 18 and under. Senior members are those ages 19 and older. You gotta be a member, and whether you are a junior or a senior member depends on your age. So remember, age defines membership. That's the first principle to understand. The second point is that membership can be individual, club, or associate. Individual membership is for a person who doesn't belong to a club. It's often used for award entrants. See our solo stickman. He's an individual member and he's very happy doing that because that fits his needs. Clubs are the main unit of membership in NFMC. After all, we are the National Federation of Music Clubs. There are local clubs which make up the state club. Clubs are comprised of individuals, each a member of NFMC in their own right. Dues are paid to acquire membership in a club. A club is not a chapter or an association. See our club on the slide? It's quite evident they are having a great time in NFMC being part of a club. Associate membership is a group of individuals, but they're considered a single entity as a member. Think choirs, bands, orchestras. See our little stick person orchestra? The entire orchestra is a member. The tricky bit about associate membership is that while the orchestra can participate in festival, the individual players cannot. An orchestra is charged a group fee for festival, while individuals are assessed per person for solos, duets, trios, and quartets. The way that fees are collected for festival matches the way that dues are paid for membership. I know it might be confusing, but just think it through and you'll understand. So, we've covered that membership is defined first by age. Junior members are 18 and under, senior members are 19 and older, and there are 3 different categories of membership: individual, club, and associate. If you think about membership in these 2 primary principles, you can keep it all straight. Now let's go a little further. Teachers can be members either as individuals, but that's a bit more expensive, or as a senior club, which is generally more reasonable. Senior clubs are made up of anyone 19 years of age and older who pays their dues to belong to the club. So festivals chairs, make sure that any teacher who enters students in festivals is a member either as an individual or a club. Juniors are most of the time members of their teacher's junior club. The teacher is then referred to as the junior counselor. That's the NFMC term for an adult in charge of a group of juniors. However, the senior club can have just one junior club that contains all of the students for every teacher in their club. In this case, not every teacher is a junior counselor. One of the senior club members must be designated as the junior counselor. You need to know which scenario your area uses. Both are perfectly acceptable. It's just a matter of preference and tradition. Every club, junior or senior, should have a roster that lists the members. This roster should be on file with your treasurer and any other leadership that needs access to this information, such as the festivals chairs and the cup chairs. Membership rosters need to be submitted to the state treasurer in order to verify that the correct amount of dues was paid. Submitting membership rosters when dues are paid makes it easy to verify membership quickly when the occasion arises. We hate having to disqualify anyone because membership cannot be verified because we didn't have a roster or the name wasn't on the roster. So please help us out in this way and file your rosters. Remember that all teachers and festival entrants must be members. Festival rules require that teachers need to pay Festival rules require, that teachers can only enter students whom they personally teach. Music schools with multiple teachers need to pay dues for each teacher entering students. The students must also be members, and those students must have the teacher-student relationship established in Vivace. However, the music school can be just one junior club. This is a different situation compared to independent studios who are part of a senior club that has only one junior club. So if you have specific questions about this situation, please reach out to us. We can help. What about adults who enter festival? What do we do about them? I'm glad you asked. Here's what we have done. Remember, they must be a member, but most adult students don't want to be part of a club and have all the responsibilities and privileges of regular membership. Your local club can create a special type of membership just for adult festival entrants. This policy needs to be clearly defined in your bylaws and standing rules. This type of membership usually has a lower dues amount, just covering the state and national portions of dues, and it usually doesn't include local voting privileges or leadership opportunities. So now you've gotten the basics of an overview of membership, and your head might be spinning. It's okay, I understand, but just bear with it. Leadership sometimes involves keeping the head spinning to yourself and not passing it on to everyone. Simplifying the collection of dues is one way to do this. Here's what's working for us. We collect membership information for our senior club members via a Google form. We have a teacher population comfortable with technology, so this works for us. This is the bottom part of our form where members select the type of senior membership for which they are paying dues. We offer a basic membership, that's on the top. That's for those who are not participating in festival. They're generally not teachers, but music enthusiasts who want to get involved in a project that promotes music in their community. Ideally, every club would have some of these types of members. If you recruit enough of these members, they can be the potential pool for being involved in leadership and administration, and that frees the teachers just to teach. Next, we have our teacher membership, which includes the junior club dues. Includes their junior club dues for their students. Finally, at the bottom, we have an adult festival entrant membership. Notice that it's a lower dues amount. This is what works for us, so please feel free to adapt this to what works for you. And believe it or not, that's been 10 minutes, and my portion of the presentation is concluded. I want to thank you so much for your kind attention today, and as always, I am always here to answer any type of your questions. So thank you so much, and we'll move on.
Okay, so we're going to turn some time over to Jennifer Key. She is our bulletin editor, and she's going to be talking to you a little bit about her responsibilities. Take it away, Jennifer.
Okay, so my responsibilities are to work on the 2028 bulletin, and I have already secured most of my bulletin advisors, and they are currently going through repertoire that's being sent to them, and even just things that they think would be good. And then when I very first started, I worked on getting the online bulletin ready and going, and so I'll show you that in just a minute. And I think that that's like a good intro. So, okay, the first thing that our advisors did was they worked on leveling guidelines, and these are done for piano, all of the piano events, and for the vocal events. We have started on the brass and the woodwind and the percussion. And what the advisors do is they look at the guidelines, and it helps them figure out when they get music what level it should be in. And it's not necessarily like the Bible, but it's very good guidelines. So, for example, for piano solo, we're looking for music that has quarter notes, half notes, and whole notes. But say for, more advanced levels, then we're going to add eighth notes, 16th notes, triplets, those kinds of things. So we have a lot of categories. They are looking at those so that they can get the music into the right level in the next bulletin. Okay? There was a question about which events are memorized and which events are not. And I was actually surprised as I went through this list at how many events students can enter that they do not have to memorize. There's a lot of piano events that they do not have to memorize. Popular piano, all the hymns and sacred music, and all of the ensembles, they do not have to memorize those events. And so if you have a student who's struggling with memory, then some of these would be a really good thing for it to enter them into. The American Patriotic and Folk Song is a really nice event that does not have to be memorized. And then most of the ensembles, vocal ensembles, string ensembles, woodwind, brass ensembles do not have to be memorized. And then for the woodwind solos and the brass solos, only the required piece has to be memorized. The choice piece does not. Okay. There's a QR code here. If you want to scan this, it will send you to the online festivals bulletin. So I'm just going to run you through the online bulletin so you can just see how to navigate around and see what's available for you. Okay. So when you would log into the online bulletin with your Vivace login and your password. And what I would suggest is to go to the repertoire first. So if you're looking for what's available for you to select, you click on that and then you can select the event and the section. And I'm just going to go to piano solo because that's the majority of our entrants go to piano. And so I'm going to click on piano solo. It works just like Vivace. And I'm going to choose, let's say, elementary 2. And then here's the list of repertoire that you can choose from. And then you can also, like if you don't see, like maybe I'm looking for a specific piece and I don't see it in elementary 2, you can always go and look at the next class and see, well, maybe it's an elementary 3 piece. Let me look at those. Or you can say, well, maybe I want to see elementary 2 and elementary 3. You can look at multiple classes at the same time. So let's say now you've decided on your piece, but you need to make sure that you're following the rules. You can click on this tab right here that says Piano section, and it'll take you to the piano solo event rules. All of these words that are highlighted in blue, you can click on them, and it'll take you to that section. So let me see, what are the rules for piano concerto? I can click on here, and I can see the solo classes, the correlations. I can go down and see the progression, how to combine points, and then when I'm done, I can just click on return to top, and then it gets me back to the top of the piano section. So for piano solo, the eligibility, there's really nothing under here, but there's general rules for eligibility. So I can click on and say, well, what are the general rules for a junior to be eligible for the piano solo event? And this will take me to the general rules, where I can look and see, oh, well, for pre-primary, they have to not be 9 years old on the day of festival. And they have to be under 19. So this is how you would get back to the general rules and see all those for every event. And let me go back to the top. And I'm going to go back to home. Here is the general rules where I just was. So there's 2 ways to get to this. So if you just want to I just want to see the general rules, I know what my repertoire is, then you can go here, and then I can click on, again, any of these blue links and see, well, what are the membership dues? And then I can go down and look at the membership dues. And then I can go back to the top. This is the section that's at the beginning of the printed bulletin. And then if I go back home, I can also look at the CUP plan and see the eligibility for CUP participation, how to alternate events. Has several examples. And then I can also go to combining. So all the information that's in the bulletin is in here, and you can get to it and look at it and scroll through it. I apologize if you hear my background. My grandchildren are visiting, and I think they're pretending like they're crashing airplanes. Last thing is the resources, and this is where you would find all your forms that you need for festival. It also has all of the bulletin update forms here. All of the JR forms that you might need. It has the sight playing and sight singing requirements here, the improvisation levels and the lead sheets, and then the practice theory tests and answers. And that's all. I am also always here for questions. So send me an email, give me a call. Happy to help out.
Thank you, Jennifer. You're fantastic, and I appreciate you taking time while your kids are visiting. That means a lot. All right, my friends, let me talk a little bit about conducting a successful festival. I have a vested interest in one of my favorite conductors. This happens to be someone I've known since birth. Let's do some comparisons, because there's a really good comparison between a music conductor or director and a festival's chair. A music conductor or director, most important responsibility begins long before the concert. They study the score, every note, every dynamic, every tempo change, every entrance. The conductor should never successfully lead an orchestra without thoroughly understanding the score. And they truly ought to be able to understand and know what tempo markings are and dynamic markings and time signatures. A festival's chair is much the same. They too have to prepare months in advance. They too have a score. Our score is the NFMC Festival's Bulletin, as well as the Procedures Manual. They might seem dry, but so is the static notes on a piece of paper, the black notes on a white piece of paper. You have to play it, you have to read it, you have to get into it to be able to understand what it's projecting. Just as a conductor studies the printed music, we study the bulletin. We learn the rules, we understand the events, and we recognize the opportunities, becoming familiar with the procedures that allow the festivals to run smoothly and fairly for all. Every festival is going to be different. I'm not going to read about the band instrument categories because I don't have any in my festival. So you're going to try to keep those things that are pertinent to your area fresh in your mind. Festivals chairs, they coordinate. They form and train committees. They approve registrations. They have people who organize the schedules. They recruit judges. They prepare certificates. They answer questions. They solve unexpected problems and challenges. They communicate with their teachers and their volunteers. So let me share a special experience that we had as he was conducting the All-State Choir for Utah, and we went to visit. And I knew he'd been preparing his own students for this. His head was totally in the game with the music. But the night before, he goes and holes up in the other room, and he's singing through every part again. And he's reading through the music again. He's practicing special passages so that he can get it just right. We went to the last rehearsal with him that was, through the weekend. And they were singing, it was the 100th anniversary of the 1918 armistice, and they sang a song about that. And the kids, they're all prepared. They all know the music. It's all fantastic. They sing it. It's really great. And then he says, I want you to sit down and take a break. And he starts to talk to them a little bit about, do you know how many people were drafted? Do you know how many people actually came home? And then he started using the numbers in the room to correlate with what had happened during the war. And you could see at first when the kids sat down, they're like, I'm gonna talk. And then he started to connect with them by sharing information, sharing something that connected them to what they were doing. When they stood to perform again, it was electrifying how they were so invested. A festival chair's role isn't just to recite the rules, but to really help understand, to share the enthusiasm and the love, and helping to build all the good things for the students. So it happens not by accident. It happens because of effort. And a festival's chair can begin by preparing behind the scenes, and every email, every schedule, every rule clarified, every worker trained, every assignment made. It is not a mistake. It is actually not an accident. It is really a well-prepared festival. I have to thank you all for being that kind of a leader. one that motivates and encourages. All right, let's turn a little of our attention to the resources that we have, which we understand and we know. You have two choices here with the bulletin. You can look at the paper bulletin, which is fantastic and is necessary. A lot of people really like having the paper in their hand. The online bulletin is going to be your 100% most current bulletin. Anything that's been updated and changed is right here. It also fits in your back pocket on your phone. So if you're out and about and somebody asks you a question, you can actually resource it right there. Vivace is going to help keep everything straight for you and keeping track of all the data that you have. What a wonderful resource that is. And then we have the procedures manual. You know, the bulletin is for every teacher, every senior club member that's participating in festival, every junior counselor, as we've learned. But the procedures manual is for all of the chairs. Every one of the chairs. You've got some great resources in here. All of the things that have been determined and voted upon throughout the years are here, and a lot of them can be looked at as a step-by-step guide. You've got two places to go to find the forms. My favorite place to go is through the website, the online bulletin. If you go down to resources, you've got all of the forms here. When you click on that form, it doesn't download it, you can just look at it and view it. And I kind of like that fact. You can also go to the NFMC website. This spot, you do download the form in order to view it, which is fine, but when I go there to look very often, I clog up my computer. One of the things to note as you go to the website, as you look at the word festivals, you have two choices. If you click once on festivals, it's going to take you to this page where you're going to find the forms, you're going to find the state festivals chairs, and you'll find the links to email addresses for the leadership. If you go to the drop-down arrow, this gives you extra features that you can click and get to see the bulletin updates and how to purchase a bulletin. The next thing that is fantastic is the support center, the Vivace Support Center. You'll find this link right on the homepage of Vivace, but in case you don't know where that is, use your QR code and find it. It has some tremendous resources. So many videos were created to help explain how to do everything you need within Vivace. One of my favorite things on that resource is the at-a-glance festival timeline, telling you what to do, when, and who can do it. It's a great resource. Another resource that you have, that we've got a couple of YouTube channels. This one is the NFMC Festivals Chair. There's a few things that are content there that you might find of interest. We'll hopefully be posting more there. This webinar will end up right there. Then we also have the NFMC Festivals Management Vivace YouTube channel that has also a couple of videos there. Last, we have the All Things Festivals newsletter. It is our intent that this should be being sent out to all festivals, state and area chairs. If you're not receiving it, if you would send me an email, I can get you on that list. The email is going to be nfmcfestivalschair@gmail.com, which is where you got this link. Also, there is a Facebook page that is going to be dedicated for festivals information for those of you on social media. And this is where our festival's national leadership will communicate with you directly, where you can also ask questions there. All right, Sandra, your turn.
We went through all of many questions that were sent, and in the limited time I have, I kind of selected 3 general areas that I wanted to talk about because I thought they were important for us to answer at the very beginning of the festival year. Just know that you can always email me, and I'm very, very happy to answer any specific questions that you have. So here we go. Birth dates and names. There's been some questions about why do we have to have birth certificates? And let me just say this. We start out trusting the teacher to enter the correct information. The first time a student is entered in the festival, that's the information that is saved in Vivace. So it's very, very important that the teacher plan ahead and get the correct information before they enter that student's name in Vivace. I personally, when I first start a student, the parents are there. We have our little meet the teacher kind of thing. And I specifically ask the parents when they're there, the full name of the student, how it's spelled, and the correct birthday. And I think if we stress this to all the teachers, that this will save a lot of problems. I also think it's very, very wise for teachers to realize it's really a good idea when they get a new student to enter that student into Vivace and don't wait until the very last minute, because we know that there are some students who are transferring from another teacher, and sometimes we have to contact the previous teacher and we have to release the student, and so the student is able to transfer to the new teacher. And all of this requires that teachers be on top of things and not procrastinate till the last minute. Notice this is how you enter a student. And we've added this year this warning that if there has to be a change, that's when the birth certificate is required. I could tell you quite a few amazing stories about kind of the messes that I've had to muddle through and clean up, but just know that this is why, if there's a change, we have to have the birth certificate to sort things out. Otherwise, we're trusting that the teacher is being very careful and accurate, and before they click that next button, what I always do is I proofread it so that I don't have Clara in as C-L-A-L-A. I had to correct one of those this week. Or that the birth date is correct, that the year isn't accidentally put in wrong. That before that next button is checked, the teacher needs to proofread what they've put in. The importance of a middle name. Here I took a little picture just so you could see how many Emily Wongs we have in Vivace right now. So if I did take out the birth dates. They were all different. You have to trust me on that. But for privacy, I took out all the birth dates. And you can see the importance. I find it often, especially with Asian names, that there's quite a few of the same person. So if they can, as you can see at the bottom, put in the Asian name also, it helps so that we don't have any confusion about which Emily we're talking about. The next thing I wanted to talk about was rating sheets, okay? The rating sheets are very easy to print in two different ways. If the area chair is the one who's printing the rating sheets and going to have them all there at the day of festival, you go to reports and select festivals. And then you will see, here's the festival tab. I selected Salt Lake Piano Solo. And then there's three choices as to how those rating sheets would be sorted. You can select that you do it by the schedule. Of course, this only works if you use Vivace for scheduling. Alphabetical, or by teacher. And if this is the screen that you would pull down to select, I highlighted the first one. You can see there are rating sheets by schedule or alphabetical or teacher. So you can go in there, download that, and then the area chair is able to print all the rating sheets. The teachers at any point can change the required or choice piece before the registration is approved. After you as area admin have changed or approve the registration, then the teachers can no longer change that, because if they do, you don't know what they've changed it to. So at that point, the area, if somebody needs to make a change, they should notify you. Whether or not you want to charge them or not is the area decision. But anytime that a change is made, it should be made in Vivace so that everything is accurate. And then let's say that then the rating sheet would need to be reprinted for that individual if you've already printed the whole group. So the teacher can print all the rating sheets as well for her whole studio. It depends on how you set up your festival. If you have the teacher print up the rating sheets, the teacher should go to her homepage and find the festivals tab. And then she would select the festival, and you see where the PDF icon is. If the teacher just clicks on that, it will download all the rating sheets for that individual teacher. You will also notice on this screenshot that that second example does not have a PDF icon. Why not? The area admin, once you're done approving all the registrations, then you need to go into the settings tab for your festival and click. Do you see there where it says rating sheets available for printing? You have to click right there. If you don't click that, then the PDF icon will not show up. So if you're going through and wondering, why can't I print the rating sheets? It's because you as area admin need to go into the settings on the festival and click that rating sheets available for printing. Notice the red, make sure all registrations are approved before clicking yes. So now if you need to go through and print a rating sheet for just one person, let's say, I'll tell you what happens for Salt Lake. Festival Saturday. Friday morning, even sometimes Friday evening, I get an urgent text from somebody. I forgot that their choice pieces changed and it's blah, blah, blah now. So then I can go in as area admin and change that, save it, and then I tell them, okay, now you can print the rating sheet and it's correct. So the way that happens is, go to the next one. You go to the individual student, and you can see where you go to the performance list. You see where my crazy little red arrow is by the student. This is the individual student. Okay, next one. And you select the PDF icon by the performance. And you can see here a picture of this one. So you can even go back and print rating sheets from previous years, but there's really no use because they're empty. But the theory test, obviously, there is no rating sheet for it. So that's why the PDF icon is not there. But for any individual, you can go in and print the now corrected rating sheet very last minute and everything is accurate. Okay. I'm just reviewing. Teachers cannot edit a registration after it has been approved. Area admins may edit a registration at any time before the ratings are certified. And it is very important at the end of a festival, if you notice that something has changed, that you go in and make that change so that the historical record is accurate. And area admins can do that. And then we've got alternating and or combining. Okay, first thing is, so many people don't understand the difference between terminology of alternating and combining. And I know it's kind of probably thinking, what does it matter? It really does matter in how the calculations are. So we need to make the right selection for the event that we're doing. Alternating is for events in different years. Since 2024, there are a lot more events that can alternate. So you want to make sure you're aware of that. Particularly, I find that people aren't aware that now in piano solo and concerto, A student may alternate before ninth grade. Okay, so let's say that they are doing solo at primary 3 and then they want to only do one thing and they're going to do piano concerto junior 1A, then they can alternate and it all goes into the same point total. That's new. What hasn't changed is combining, which is two events happening in the same year. And these basically have stayed the same as they were before, meaning that there's certain classes that can do it. Usually it's difficult 1 solo or above and junior class 3 or senior concerto. And the grade is 9th grade or above. Okay, so just an example of some events. This isn't exclusive, this isn't all of them, but just an example of alternating. The important thing to know is that both events need to be checked. So if a student did Lynn Freeman Olson in 2026 and wants to do piano solo only in 2027, then the alternate box needs to be checked. Same thing for piano duet or piano trio or duo or quartet. Same thing for violin solo or concerto. That's been a long-standing rule. Organ repertoire or sacred organ can alternate. Violin solo or viola solo now may alternate, or cello solo. This was specifically changed in the 2024 bulletin to be aware of the fact that many times students start out on violin and then change and go to viola, and previously their points were lost on violin, so it was more difficult to get those bigger cups. But now if they move up to a different instrument, those violin points can follow them. Same thing for flute solo or piccolo solo, you get the drift. The important thing to know is that nobody can go back and check those alternate boxes for previous years except a national admin. And there's a reason for that, because we have to study if we check that alternate box. Before that, we put that restriction on there. We had the weirdest things that were happening and points were jumping back and forth. And so we have to be very, very careful. And that's why if it happens that somebody didn't know they needed to check that alternate box in a previous year, or things have just changed, if you let me know, I have that alternate box, honestly, probably checked within 8 hours for you. So you just need to send me that information. The previous years, only the national admin can go back in and check that box, but we're happy to do so. Okay. Combining events, the solo and concerto must be checked in the same year. So if it's happening in 2027, then the solo registration and the concerto registration needs to be checked in that year so that they will combine. Here's an example so you know where that box is. The combined box, or conversely, the alternate box. And when you check that combined box and everything is so that the student can combine, then that grade level will show up. In other words, if you click the combined box and the student is at medium level piano solo, that box won't show up because they're not eligible to combine yet. The combined box will only show up if the student is able to do the combining. Now here's an example of what you might see. This is my student Sophia. Before in 2024, when we realized that we need to have both things checked, I didn't check the solo. And so you can see on this, I hope you know how to read individual student point history, that her 2024 has the C small lowercase for concerto. And because I did not check combine on her solo registration, it did not add the points together. Now I went back in and checked the solo as a national admin I can, and I checked her 2024 solo to combine, and now it is combining. So that's how it was fixed, and it's just very quick check in the box. So now I want to talk to you all as festival admins, how important it is for you when you're done with festival to go through and run the student history report year in summary. The area admins, because as area admin, you're able to go back and look for the year that you're in and see if somebody forgot to check a box. Even after the ratings are certified for that year, you can go back and click that box. It used to be that the national admins were the only ones that can do it, but now we know you guys understand it well enough that you can go in for the current year and check a box if it's missing, and then it will combine or alternate. Again, I'm going to say for the current year. And it's very important that you go through and proofread this before you place your Federation Cup order. In Salt Lake, we have about 500 entries, and I think my teachers are pretty well trained. But when I went through and proofread it this year, there were 18 students where they had forgotten to either check, alternate, or combine. I thought there were 20. But when I contacted the teachers about those other two, the students were actually in 8th grade, so they had done the correct thing and they were not able to combine. So I'm just saying it will save you a lot of time if you'll go through and peruse that report and say, oh, well, this student did both concerto and solo, and their difficult one, they should have been able to combine. I'm going to check with that teacher and see if that's the wish of the teacher or the student to do that. The way you run that festival area year in sum report is you go to reports, you select the festival area tab, so here's festival area, and then at the very bottom it says student history report year summary. Click that report and it will run the whole history for what's happened in your, even if you've had a couple of festivals, say you had one in the fall, one in the spring, it will run everything. That's it. Just remember, I'm there to answer your questions, and we do plan to have a Vivace specific webinar sometime in the near future, and Debbie will let you know when that is.
Thank you, Sandra. I appreciate that. Dawn, are you still here? I've lost you in the. There you are. There you are. We're going to turn a few minutes over to Dawn.
So I'm going to be talking about Federation Cups very briefly. First of all, just a note that we call them Federation Cups. They are not gold cups. We don't have gold cups and silver gold cups. We have gold Federation Cups and silver Federation Cups. And that distinction is the gold color is for our junior members, and the silver cup Federation Cups are for our adult members. We also have our larger cups, the Grand Cups and the President's Cups, that are for 75 and 90 point winners if they are combining points at those levels. So anyway, just a reminder, if you're looking on Vivace or anything, go to Federation Cups and you will find your information, probably not under gold cups. With that being said, we have a lot of new Federation Cup information coming. We are now going to be able to do much more through Vivace as far as ordering and engraving. And I know there was a lot of mix up this past year with that. Some wrong information got out on some Facebook things and so forth. But this year we are working with Crown Awards, and we will be able to do that. So we're very excited. But we are going to have our own separate Federation Cup chair webinar, and that's on September 19. And so if you are interested in more information on just how to order, how to do your engraving, remember this engraving is free if you do it through here. If you want any information on anything related to our Federation Cups, we're going to do a separate webinar just for you guys. So if you want to do that, be sure to sign up for September 19. It'll be that morning. It'll be this same kind of format, just really focused on cups.
Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate you. All right, buckle up, Buttercup. Here we go. I'm going to try to answer some questions that we got. Certificates. Certificates and rating sheets are your proof of the rating. Sometimes we need to go back and show proof. For whatever reason, that it wasn't into Vivace, somebody moved, whatever. These are going to be the evidence that is recognizable, that is endorsed by Federation. The participation certificates, the state one that goes landscape, they can be given the day of the performance or later by the teacher, either way. The consecutive superior certificates that you see in this picture, they acknowledge the superior performance every year, but it's especially nice on those years that are in between cup years. Ribbons, there's been questions about ribbons. Ribbons are not a festival item, a Federation item, but they are nice. They're not a replacement for certificates. If by chance your club gives out ribbons, totally cool. If we needed to verify that rating, the ribbon won't count. It has to be a certificate or a rating sheet. If you do print your own ribbons, they should not have the logo, NFMC logo on it, because it is not sponsored by NFMC. It could have your own local on it, however you want to choose to do that. Festival, one more thing, the certificates information. The deadline will still be October 1st, and we will be using the Google form that we did last year. If you have a very large state and you submit the entire order for your state, I'll still take your spreadsheets like we did last year. If you're ordering, please consider, there's no way you're going to get, we can't guarantee you're going to get it for a fall festival with an October 1st deadline. So if you're ordering, please order enough certificates for your spring 2027 and your fall 2027, so that you're ordering enough for the calendar year, not the festival's year. Deadlines. The biggest deadline you need to have, and then you can work backwards from. When you want to determine when to hold your festival or how late in the year you can hold it, you want to make sure that your paperwork is all done. All of your reports have to be submitted to your state no later than May 20th. Now double check with your state, because some states have an earlier deadline. So, and I don't know that. You would know that because it's your state. This is a hard and fast. It can't bend. That is a definite deadline. And then the state reports come to the regional chairs. We ask by June 1st, sooner if we can, because we're trying to get that information to share at the convention, which is usually like the second week in June. All right, the next big question we often have is that nearly 19-year-old, whether they have just earned their first cup before they're 19 or whether they're earning their President's Cup, it doesn't matter. It's still just as important to that student. So how do we do it? Well, we find a fall festival date or a festival date that is before their birthday. Give us a call. Send me a message. I'm happy to do some investigating. If you don't have one in your state or local to you, then reach out. I'll find you one. They can participate as a distance learner. They would submit a video performance. It would help them to finish and get those final points before their 19th birthday. It's pretty successful. Give me a call. All right, specially capable musicians. The specially capable musician, there are a couple of things in here that's really important. This is not an event. This is a special exception that is made for certain performers in whatever event they're participating in. The one thing you want to keep in mind, and it says up here pretty close to the top, is that it's to be held in confidence. The only people that are to know about this form is the parent, the student, the teacher, the area chair, and the state chair, and the judges. I know that seems like a list, but it is a quiet list. And this form is fantastic because nowhere on the form does it say this student is blind, or this student has Down syndrome, or this student has ADHD, whatever. It doesn't have any label attached to it. What it does offer, well, is on the second page, the back side of it. This is where you say what kind of special exceptions are needed. All you need to say is, if you speak to the student, make sure they see your face. Okay, they're hard of hearing. I wouldn't have known that, but now you tell me, and now as the room monitor or as the judge, we know how to help that person. It might be someone that will never advance. Maybe they are just going to be perpetually at the same level, and they're going to have to stay in the same event class. Then that needs to be specified right here. There are going to be temporary and there are going to be permanent reasons for this classification. If it's temporary, they broke their arm, if whatever, then you can submit the form once. If it's permanent, and this is something that repeats every year, this is a permanent designation. Fill out the form once, teacher, hold on to it and save it. You're going to submit it every year to your festival's chair, who could change. And so you want to make sure that that paperwork doesn't get lost in a change of leadership. Then you'll just submit it every year so that they are aware. This paper will be printed and will be handed to the judges with the rating sheet. It's going to look like two pieces of paper. There's not anything on it that's a big post-it note that says, remember. It's going to be very discreet and just for the judges to see in the room. There's no reason for a student to feel called out, or that's not necessarily the right phrase either, but just to make an announcement, oh, don't forget, this person needs. Any other student in the room might worry, oh, what are they going to say about me? And they're not needing any special exception. So just be mindful that we're trying to be discreet and helping those students. Judging. This is a hot topic as well. There are no, let me start here. This is a new line that we have added, that it's not a new rule, it's just a new place to find it. If an entrant does not meet the event requirements, a rating cannot be given. Their performance is designated as no rating. Now, comments could be given, but there will be no rating, there will be no points. So just keep that in mind. The official ratings sheet says superior, excellent, whatever, but there is not an excellent plus or minus. We don't add pluses or minuses. That isn't anything that is added. And there's no circumstance that justifies an automatic superior. So let's go back to specially capable musicians. They're wonderful people, but that isn't an automatic superior either. The judge is going to take into consideration the special needs and isn't judging that student against anybody else, but just about themselves and how they are doing. But there is no automatic superiors. Okay, moving on. Accompaniments. Accompaniments equal partnerships. The goal is to provide for that student a live performance opportunity, a way to polish that live performance and to build that rapport with their partner. Karaoke doesn't do it. A recording isn't going to help them build that partnership because they always have to bend to the recording. So we want to give them that opportunity to build that rapport. So the only exceptions we have with this are the dance event and the drum set event. Kind of hard to bring an orchestra in or a jazz band in to accompany you. So in those cases, they can have a live record or a recording. Someone has asked about the Junior Composer Competition. While this is no longer part of the festivals, you can find this on the NFMC website. The QR code will take you right there. You'll go to the competitions and awards and do the drop down, and you'll see it right here, Junior Composer Awards. You'll find the form, you'll find the rules. Liability insurance, you have 2 deadlines. Talk to your state liability chair. These are the prices. You can have, this will purchase for you $1 million liability coverage for your facility, for your venue. If your festival is Saturday and Sunday, the 20th and 21st, you would buy 1 liability insurance policy for the 2 days. If your festival is November 2nd and February 5th, you will buy 2 liability insurance because they're not consecutive days. You do need to have submitted the child abuse, neglect, sexual abuse pamphlet. This needs to be shared by the liability chair. It needs to be shared to every club in the state. And then as a festivals chair, it would be wise for you to share with all of your members so that they can read and be aware. We need 2 adults in every room. We want to make sure that we are being safe for all participants. Coming soon to a new bulletin near you, the 2028 bulletin will include alternating sacred music, piano solo, and piano hymn events. They will be able to be alternated. We are going to be strengthening the piano hymn event a little bit so that then it is equal, a little bit more equal to a combination of a solo and a concerto. We are going to combine piano, hymn, and sacred music piano solo from advanced levels up so that those students will have an opportunity to start earning some of the larger cups. Also adding the vocal solo sacred music event and giving those vocalists another genre to sing. Last thing is you're going to find the webinar posted here. I'll also send it out via link in an email. It'll also be in the All Things Festival newsletter. We're going to just try to blast it out so that you can find it any way you can. Please remember the best way to reach us is email. Texts are okay, but if it's really an important thought, they get lost. Once you read it, I can't save it. I mean, I can, but I can't categorize it. An email, I can categorize it. I can save it. I can revisit that a lot easier. And all of us on the team, festivals team, prefer email. Facebook is really great, and you can send questions there for sure. We all have understood Facebook algorithms. Their goal is you don't see the post twice. So if I see it and I get interrupted and I have to go take care of something else, I may not be able to find it very well coming back. So please keep that in mind. If it's really important and you really want an answer, the best way is to send us an email. And you'll find our email addresses at the NFMC website at the very top of the festivals page. I am so grateful for all of you. We will look forward to doing more webinars in the future. We've got that one September 19th. That will be important. CUPS gave us a little bit of a hiccup last year. We had new leadership at the headquarters that were not trained and did not know the process. We had a new leader for our CUPS chair here. We've always worked with Crown. Crown made some changes. They had some new things, and it was just the perfect storm. And then we added in Facebook and all of the help and suggestions that were given there that actually went us astray and got it even worse. So please, please, please tune in for that CUPS webinar. We are going to have some good information for you and hopefully be able to smooth things out and make it a whole lot easier next year. Thank you, my friends. Thanks for all the good that you do. Thanks for building musicians, those budding musicians from the very beginning and up. Thanks for nurturing the teachers who are loving on those kids and helping them. Sure appreciate you all. Thanks for logging in, and we will talk with you soon.